who are suddenly thrown into this fantasy world.
Silence quest for Nintendo.
More excitement, there's better use of colors, better use of music.
It's the video game years, and get ready to skate into 1988. The systems, the culture, the games. Bill and Lance battle an alien invasion.
Contra just heightened your senses.
A landmark football title hits computers.
It is a massive undertaking to get this all done.
And dinosaurs go on a magical adventure.
Pop the bubbles, and then you collect some shady looking fruit, and then you float down to the next stage in a bigger bubble.
Plus, a new gaming magazine. And an ice hockey game heats up. So set up that power pad and say no to drugs. 1988 starts now.
Anticipation was marketed as like the first adult party game on the NES.
It's kind of based very loosely off of Pictionary.
Up to 4 players can play Anticipation, but then again, you've got to find 3 other people that are willing to play it.
You have a game board and you're going around and the computer draws things and you have to guess what it is.
Once you think you know what the picture is going to be, you have to buzz in and type the word.
The game doesn't judge you at the end of spelling it. No, if you put the wrong letter in, boom.
You get a warning.
You get a warning.
If the second time, no, you're done.
You only had 2 chances to get the word right, and if everyone got it wrong, it'd never tell you what the drawing was. You would never know.
It can be frustrating at times because some of the clues or some of what you're actually trying to guess are just flat out weird.
So the category would be science, and then the triangle is the puzzle. Travel would be the category, and then the answer could be a parachute for travel.
The anticipation part of the title isn't waiting for what the drawing's going to be, it's waiting for the game to be over. Abrams Battle Tank is a tank simulator game developed by Dynamics for DOS.
You had 4 crew that you dealt with, and you had to blow up other tanks, and there wasn't really a lot of tank games like this that came before. You had to go back to the early 80s.
It was kind of sold as a bit of a simulation. You had 4 people in the tank working it, but it was, obviously a bit dumbed down.
The Abrams game was, while still difficult, a bit more accessible, and I would credit Dynamics with a lot of that because they managed to make a lot of very fun games that just teetered on complexity.
They had a 3D engine that was developed in order to actually make the game, so there was 3D elements which you never really saw very often. In games. There's simulated 3D elements in games, but this was a 3D engine used to program it, and that was pretty unique.
The same reason some people liked the game because of its arcade aspects was the same reason that purists just did not like it.
The simulation aspects weren't all there, but it was interesting, and it's definitely something that caught the attention of the public at the time, and did pretty darn well, I would say.
So Contra is a run-and-gun action game that was designed and released by Konami.
Contra doesn't just have side-scrolling levels, it also has levels that take place from behind the back of your characters as you have to shoot out targets and then move forward into the next room.
While the game had success in the arcades, much of its popularity stems from its release on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
The arcade version was built with a more vertical screen, and I believe this was to accommodate what they probably saw as a draw, which were the more vertical levels in the game.
The music is amazing in Contra. It has instantly recognizable themes.
Yeah, very memorable.
Yeah, and the sound effects, I mean, you hear them, it's like, that's from Contra.
Yeah. You had a bunch of different types of guns. You had the laser rifle, you had a fireball gun, you had the magnificent spread gun that shot bullets all over the screen.
Contra just heightened your senses because you couldn't let your guard down ever.
All the enemy bosses are very well designed, and almost all of them you have to figure out how to defeat them in a different way. They're not just shoot out a random, stationary object.
Contra made the Konami code that gave you 30 lives famous, but Gradius was actually the first one to use it.
Easily one of the hardest games I've ever played, until you put in the code, and then becomes one of the easiest games you've ever played.
Contra is a game that teaches patience and pattern recognition and really prepares you for a lot of the harder games on the NES.
A lot of people complain about that game is too hard. I don't think it's too hard.
I've only beaten Contra a few times, and I've never been able to do it without the code. I know it's pathetic.
The Famicom version had a lot more animation in the backgrounds, like the trees blowing in the breeze, the snow falling. It had extra cut scenes.
Yep.
Much of the game's popularity actually stems from the fact that you can have two players on screen simultaneously running and gunning. This was a feature that was actually fairly uncommon at the time of Contra's release.
Some of my fondest memories of playing the NES was playing Contra with a friend.
It's like a good album. You're going to put Contra into your system over and over again, and you're going to keep playing it.
Toobin was released by Atari Games in the arcade in 1988, and of course was released later on for systems like the NES about a year or so later.
It's a river racing game where you're trying to avoid obstacles and push your opponents into obstacles and beat them down the end of the river.
And you throw like soda cans at alligators and fishermen trying to get in your cool Toobin ways.
The soundtrack is interesting. It kind of bounces between a 50s beach party movie type music, and it can go to like this really sinister, kind of evilly tinged music when you have a foe on the screen. It's bizarre.
The cabinet itself was very slim. It was like a very weird design. It was very tall.
It was, yeah.
And a lot of it was a marquee, but it was kind of like a slim machine too.
The arcade had a unique scheme where you had a paddle with left and right arm, so you had to go back and forth. In the turn, you would just use one or the other, just like how you would realistically float down a lazy river.
Extreme tubing! Eat my can, bro!
And now, it should have been a video game in 1988.
Oh, hello, I'm Eric, and here's the stuff from 1988 that should have been made into a video game, but wasn't. In movies, the bear for the NES. Run frantically from hunters in this action platformer, but be careful to avoid the hallucinogenic mushrooms because they will really trip you up. Far out, man. Rain Man for the NES. Allow your brother to take the wheel and drive you around without crashing. Innovative gameplay will have you using both the first player and second player controllers as you lean over to help your bro out. Of course he's an excellent driver. They Live for the Sega Master System. Get some use out of your Sega 3D glasses and light phaser as you try to sort out who's who and what's what in this innovative shooter. Put the glasses on to see who's an alien and who's human, but you have to take them off in order to see the ammo and power-ups. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. In television, Garfield and Friends for the NES. Predictably, it would be about playing pranks on unsuspecting Odie and eating a bunch of lasagna, and also it'd be funny. Ugh, Mondays, am I right? And that's the stuff from 1988 that should have been made into a video game, and I want to play them.